Hi guys, Matt Easton here. So what's that? It's a knife, I say. No, that's not a knife. This is a knife. What this video is actually about is talking about Bowie knives, and or Bowie knives, as I know that some of you insist on me calling them, and I do accept that Bowie is probably the correct way to pronounce it. I've been doing some research recently, reading a very good book which I'll do a review of soon about Bowie knives, and looking at antique Bowie knives and all sorts of other descriptive accounts of them being used and all that kind of stuff, and starting to do a bit of Bowie knife sparring. Something that I've noticed is there is a kind of maximum length that they tend to come in, and it's about 10 or 11 inches in the blade. This is 11.5 inches, so this is about as big as they generally get. Yes, you do get, particularly in Mexico and particularly in the American Civil War period, you do get some really giant ones with essentially they're practically short sabres. But generally speaking, this is the biggest sort of size that you get. And it occurs to me there is one likely reason why this is the case, and that is that Bowie knives were very often worn as concealed weapons, believe it or not. They were not, very often they were not worn openly on the side, because they were worn in environments where it wasn't socially acceptable to be wearing a weapon. So they were worn as a self-defense item in a place where you couldn't walk around openly carrying a sword or a revolver or a rifle or shotgun. Okay, very often that meant wearing them underneath a coat, jacket or waistcoat, or any combination of those. And as most of you will know from watching westerns, in that part of the 19th century, in the middle and latter part of the 19th century, it was very common to wear a jacket and a waistcoat all the time, and it was only really if you were doing physical labour that you'd take your jacket off. And actually, if you look at this length of scabbarded knife, often where they were worn was under there, under your armpit, pretty much where a concealed carry pistol is often carried today in some parts of America, or indeed by detectives in TV shows and such like. And they were worn under here, and this is pretty much the maximum length that will fit between your armpit and your hip. So I have a little pet theory that this is pretty much what dictates the biggest size that you can comfortably have a Bowie knife. It is the biggest size that you can conceal and wear it under a jacket and a waistcoat without it sticking out and without it being obvious that you're carrying a huge frickin' knife, and without it being obvious that you're carrying a weapon in a situation where presumably it's not socially acceptable to be carrying a weapon. Okay, so there we go, just a little thought. As always, I appreciate your views and comments on the comments thing below here, and there we go. Cheers.